So today I'm going to be making a quick and easy breakfast option, overnight oats. Just to keep it simple, I'm going to do apple pie overnight oats, but really there's unlimited options as to what you like into your cereal. So all you need is some basic kitchen utensils, some ingredients, and then a little creativity, because not everyone likes the same things, but really, like I said, the options are unlimited. So before making a trip to the grocery store, see what you already have before you make a trip so you don't have to make multiples. For the kitchen supplies, you will need 1 measuring cup. You need a 1/4 measuring cup. 1 tablespoon. A small ladle or something to scoop it out into the jars to blend. A whisk or some kind of spoon stirring device. And a small mixing bowl. Last but not least, you will need 2 little mason jars, about 8 ounces. This recipe here makes 2 servings. So you could pretty much find these at anywhere, craft store, Walgreens, CVS, anywhere really has them. And make sure they have little lids so you can seal them tight when you put them in the fridge. Now for ingredients, you will need almond milk. You do not need to use almond milk. I'm just trying to be a little bit healthier here. You can use basically regular milk. You can even use yogurt, as long as you have some kind of dairy supplement. This is the recommended type of oats for overnight oats. It's old-fashioned. You will need maple syrup, at least for this recipe. I got sugar-free. Actually, I'm almost out. But I have sugar-free just to stay with the whole healthy thing. You will need flaxseed. You can use basically any seeds because it adds a little protein and fiber content to your cereal. I have ground, but you can use whole seeds. Applesauce, once again, unsweetened for the health factor. Ground cinnamon. Crushed up graham crackers. You can do this yourself, or they do sell graham cracker crumbs in the baking section. I already had some on hand, so there we go. And then I use Splenda. You can use sugar if you want, or some other kind of sweetener alternative. If you're using Splenda or sugar, they're the same equivalent. So like 1 teaspoon of Splenda is the same as 1 teaspoon of sugar. You would probably want to go over 1 teaspoon of Splenda. All right, so once you go to your store and get your ingredients or whatever you don't have on hand, it's time to make your oats. You don't need a big space. You could probably make this in your dorm or your apartment. It doesn't take long either. There's no baking required. So all you need is a fridge or a cool place to store the oats for the time it takes for them to absorb the moisture. All right. You're gonna start with dry, uncooked oats. I'm gonna do a cup of this. Now, like I said, this recipe makes 2 servings. But if you were going to cut it in half, you would just use half, or if you're going to double, use 2 cups. The rule of thumb, according to the Quaker Oats website, they have a bunch of rules, or a bunch of tips and hints and multiple recipes for overnight oats, is a 1-to-1 ratio. So whatever you're doing of the oats, you do the same of the dairy supplement. So another cup of this. Before adding the rest of the ingredients, you will want to mix until well blended. Good enough. Okay, so I'm going to do a 1/4 cup of syrup. If you're using like regular syrup, butter flavored, just enough here. If you're doing regular syrup, I would probably say use less. I know this syrup is very it's a looser consistency, and obviously it's not as sweet, so you could use more of it. Now you can mix between each ingredient, but it's really not a big deal. It's all going together. Also, you can use the same 1/4 cup for when you're doing the applesauce and whatever else, because it's all mixing together, so there's no cross-contamination. Because I know we're lazy, we're college students, that's what happens. All right. So 1/4 cup of this, that's about 1 pouch. If you have extra, either eat it or use it as your topping in the end. And then add that to your this mixture. Now, I do like to mix the liquids all together with it first before I add like the drier ingredients. You don't have to though. Alright, so now I'm going to be using the tablespoon for the flax seeds. They don't really taste like anything, so don't worry about that. It's just to add to the whole point of being healthy and getting your nutrients in, because like I said, breakfast is the most important meal of the day. Using that same tablespoon, you're going to do a tablespoon of cinnamon. Now, I love cinnamon, but some people don't, so that is up to you. Some recipes don't even call for it, but most of the time I add cinnamon to just about all my cereals because, like I said, I love it. Okay, 1 tablespoon. Now you can keep it to the side because when you're about to serve it hours later, you could also add more. I add more cinnamon to the top with my toppings. It also just looks aesthetically pleasing. Alright, and then a tablespoon of the crushed graham crackers. Once again, you might want to keep some to the side for toppings later, but you don't have to. Once you get to that part, it's really just whatever you have on hand or want to use. And then, last but not least, the Splenda. Just enough to, I mean, I like my oatmeal sweeter. Some people don't. You might not need sugar at all. I just know from past experience of making the apple pie oats that I like this Splenda with it. Alright. So, there's your mixture. Make sure it's very well blended. And now, the hard part's over. The next part is just basically waiting. You will divide the mixture up between 2 jars. It's not going to fill to the top, and you don't want it to because you want to be able to have room for your toppings. You do not add the toppings until the end because you don't want them to get all, like especially if you're adding granola or even the fruit, you don't want it to get all gross and mushy while it's sitting in the fridge. Now, it does say on the Quaker Oats website again that they're called overnight oats because typically it takes about 8 hours to be, like, that's the optimal time for absorption of the oats. But you can't eat them after like 3 or 4. 'Cause, you know, if you're up late studying, sometimes you might be like, oh, I'm going to make this for the morning. So I just have something quick to grab. So that's fine. You can eat them after no less than 3 hours. Alright, so see it's about 3/4, 2/3 of the way up. Perfect amount of room to add some chopped up apples later. At least that's what I do for this. Maybe even some flavored granola and more cinnamon, of course. Whatever you want to do, but you don't do that till the end. Alright, make sure they're sealed tight. And that's it. You put them in the fridge and you don't touch them. There's no baking. The oats will absorb the liquid, and yeah, so you have a perfect breakfast to just take with you when you're running to class. Like I said, your options are limited. All it does is require some creativity on your part when it comes to the toppings, and that's it. So don't forget your breakfast. They have Reader's Digest actually says that it can cause heart disease and diabetes by skipping breakfast frequently. It slows your metabolism down. It also can cause weight gain. It leads to not being able to focus. I know they say this for years, but science does have a point. It is true. I know when I have my breakfast, whether it's this or a banana even, it goes a long way. Honestly, I'd rather take this, 235 calories, that's it for one, over a 200 calorie Pop-Tart that doesn't fill me and has absolutely no nutrients in it at all. So yeah.